Are you ready to perform at your highest potential? Welcome to the Performance Matters podcast from GP Strategies, your talent transformation partner. In each episode, we'll interview industry experts and explore best practices and innovative insights to help your organization improve performance.
Understand that you are quite an accomplished coach in this world. Is that correct?
I've done quite a bit of it, and what I found has been really helpful is having been a manager, line manager. I understand what the role is, what the challenge is, but probably I find that the role of the coach, the primary role and the initial role, is to be able to reach across the technology to make a human connection. Because people go into this thinking this is going to be e-learning, or it's going to be something that is very one dimensional. And so the role of the coach right from the get-go is to say, no, I'm here, I'm a human, and I understand what's going on, and let's have a dialogue. So our primary role is to get that dialogue going. And
Okay.
and then as a coach, we're really doing, when you think about the ILT world and then this digital world. In the ILT world, the facilitator really focuses in on the content, delivering the content and ensuring that it lands. But in the digital world, it's multidimensional, because you're a coach, you're also a mentor, and you're also of course a facilitator. But it takes on, for me, a different dimension of not only connecting across technology, but in addition, providing instruction, teaching, as well as coaching. Challenging them to think and increase their critical thinking about some important skills.
So what the first thing I think I heard there that I want to double back on is that, even though it's a digital learning experience, what you're saying is you're still trying to forge a personal connection the same way you would in an instructor-led world. The difference is, though, like you said, you're reaching across the technology. It's almost like your goal is to help them almost forget that the technology is there. The technology is there just to help provide resources, right,
Yeah.
and make things easier. So that's got to be quite a bit of a challenge for you. Do you have any tips or strategies, best practices that that you've had in practice that you might want to share with our audience?
Well, probably the first thing is right at the beginning of any digital program is to be very, very involved with them, um, because in the digital world they are coming on and they're not quite sure. They don't trust the coach necessarily, and they don't trust each other. So the coach needs to
Hmm.
really build that really safe space where any comments that they put on the platform, they're going to get a response from the coach. And then very quickly, the other participants understand that this is what this world looks like. This isn't a very flat. I always think of e-learning as probably the death of any kind of online education, and you need to just disprove that right away and say, no, 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 this is human beings, people with experience, and we need to hear from you. One of the things that I've found very interesting is that um, they, much like in social media, they become engaged because they come back because they want to see what their colleagues have commented on.
Hmm.
They want to they will ask a question and hear different points of view. So I've seen over and over again, very quickly, the technology becomes the backdrop, and the real connection and learning is right up front. And frankly,
Hmm.
I wasn't sure that could really happen in a totally digital world. So it was really kind of a wonderful revelation for me that yes, this in fact, this is powerful, and it really works.
Yeah, and I think that ties back to Megan what you were saying earlier when it comes to the rise of a learning experience platform, is that the learners often become contributors, just like if it was Instagram or TikTok, is
Yeah.
you're expecting and you're inviting that, right? You want them to contribute.
Yeah, learners, they have a lot to share. There's a lot of knowledge that people bring, from prior experiences in their work life and or prior roles that they've had within their organization. And being able to bring that knowledge forward and to contribute gets people not only excited for the contributions, but on the other side, the other people are excited to listen to it and to interact with it. So it's pretty cool how it's really evolved in creating that engagement.
Yeah, this is, and I will say secretly, I've had a chance to experience some of the amazing learning experience platforms that we at GP have either uncovered or partnered with. And you're right. I will just say, as a testimonial, as a learner, it is kind of a magical thing where the things you've liked about in person, the things that have worked, it's almost like we've taken all the best of everything. Kind of like when you have a child, right? You take the best of the parents, and hopefully that comes out in the child.
You can
Like
only
there's
hope.
there's less dad puns and everything. They're just a little more charming and everything. So it's kind of cool to see this. So everything you're saying, I'm like, I agree. Like I felt it as a learner, just the power of this semi-synchronous type world. I'm going to put a cloud out there here. I'm going to take some of Fran's clouds in Jersey. I'm going to bring them up there to you, Eileen, up in Maine for just a second. Because I'm sure you would also say there's some potential pitfalls or challenges. I mean, it's not all sunshine and roses, as I like to say. So what are some of the things that you have seen in terms of the challenges to engaging participants in a digital setting? And the second part is, what would you do about it? How have you overcome those?
I think the biggest challenge is the expectation and sometimes the reality that the content is pretty static. So you might be enthusiastic about joining a digital community, and then you find out the content isn't really relevant, or it isn't really created and designed in a way for the technology. And by that I mean, it's got to be short bursts of learning. It's got to be very targeted, and it's got to be really relevant. If you're in a digital environment and it's pretty dull stuff, they're not going to come back. Time is too precious, really, when you think about it. We're all like so stressed that if we're going to have to spend like 45 minutes of something that's pretty boring, they're just not going to come back. And what's interesting in the classroom, you sort of have prisoners, right? They're there, unless they get an emergency call from somebody. They have to stay. But that's not the case in the digital world. They are totally empowered to either lean in and be fully engaged or pop out. I think also the fact that when there's gamification, it taps into the competitiveness of people. And if they get points for participating in different things, I'm always surprised because that's just not my jam. But boy, it is for a lot of people. And they will come back and they will take activities. So that's another, I think, important key. And I think the third thing is that the mix of media, how the platform is designed so that there's a real variation of videos, of documents, of chats, discussion boards, and people again will come back because first of all they want to see, did someone comment or say something about my wise comment, and second of all there's often a curiosity of, that was a great question somebody posed. I need the answer right now. I need it today. So that element of sort of just in time becomes really, really important. And it also, frankly, is it's empowering because they can do it on their own time. They can do it early in the morning, whenever. This thing runs 24/7, and so they can fit it into their own schedule. So I think those are some of the things. The challenge is if you don't hook them right at the beginning, then it's a steady climb uphill.
I like that.
But when you've got them engaged, it just, the momentum just builds. and they become a community. They really care about each other.
The Performance Matters podcast is brought to you by GP Strategies. Together, we can create a world where business excellence makes possibilities achievable. You can subscribe to the show anywhere you get podcasts or listen on our website at gpstrategies.com.